This video is sponsored by Park Candy. Stay tuned until the end of the video to find out how you too can look as fashionable as I do while in the Disney parks.
Tomorrowland is a world on the move. The best way to see it all is to ride the Wedway PeopleMover. These vehicles never stop moving, even while passengers board and disembark from a rotating platform. Just beyond the PeopleMover station is the new mural featuring old Mr. Energy himself. The PeopleMover is no mere amusement ride. It was designed for intermediate speed transportation within cities. The cars have no motors. Power is supplied from a series of motors embedded in the track, so no single car can ever break down and cause a rush hour traffic jam. Someday a system like this may even pass through the downtown buildings in your community, just as it travels through Tomorrowland's pavilions today.
It sure does. It sure does travel through Tomorrowland today. So, you've heard the rumors, you've seen the posts and the couple of videos that exist on it, which is why you're here, to watch my analysis of whether or not the PeopleMover at Disneyland could feasibly return or not. And the answer isn't as clean-cut as you might think. The PeopleMover has a long and storied history at Disneyland and Walt Disney World, but the two are very, very different. And while there may be a few good reasons as to why the PeopleMover would return to Disneyland, there are also a couple of reasons why it couldn't, or shouldn't, dare I say. I've made a video before talking about the rumors of the PeopleMover returning, being announced this year at D23 on September 11th, but until that date arrives, all we have is conjecture, okay? If you want to learn more about the rumors surrounding the PeopleMover, there will be a card up right there in the top right corner of the video. See it? Go ahead and click on that to learn more about, who's leaking what and what may potentially be happening, although we will go over it quickly in this video as we go. So I'm sitting here in Tomorrowland, and essentially what is the shadow of one of the greatest attractions that I've never been on. It's the PeopleMover, and I want to show you the track, the future of it, and what potentially could just go away. It could be torn down and forgotten forever. But for a very quick refresher, we're not going to talk about the history of the PeopleMover or the rocket rods. We've done that before. We're going to pick this story up right at the very end, as soon as the rocket rods closed. After spending $25 million for the retheme, Michael Eisner would state that as a type A impatient person, I was happy to participate in speeding up the PeopleMover. After a little more than 2 years, they closed forever. The president of Disneyland at the time, Cynthia Harris, said the high-speed attraction was never able to perform to its design show standards. The problem was a budget-conscious decision to run the high-speed rods on the PeopleMover's unbanked track. Well, at least she admits the track still belongs to the PeopleMover. The rocket rods had unfortunately broken the PeopleMover, where it used to take about 15 to 16 minutes to go through the entire route of the PeopleMover through Tomorrowland, near sort of some of Fantasyland. The rocket rods took 3, so obviously it was going to cause some damage, and instead of rebuilding the tracks or tearing them down or in certain parts and rebuilding them here and there or fixing them up, they just let it sit forever. Disney let the PeopleMover track sit out there, exposed to the elements for all of these years, just waiting to be revived? Torn down? Rebuilt? That's where the questions lie. Because when I often say, bring back the PeopleMover, which they really should bring back the PeopleMover, I'm not talking about reopening it. It's not as easy as putting new carts on the track and flicking the on switch. It's a bit more complicated than that. It's an old track. It's also not exactly compliant with most ADA requirements today. And unlike the Walt Disney World PeopleMover that is still running to this day, that stays level throughout its entire journey throughout Tomorrowland, through Space Mountain, Buzz Lightyear, all of these attractions, the Disneyland one goes up and down. There are peaks and valleys, if you will. Which is where we unfortunately run into one of our many problems with just reopening the old PeopleMover. Modern safety regulations. It's so boring being safe all the time. For example, these Astraeus Project windows pictures, where the old Starcade used to be in the extended queue for Space Mountain, are actually windows, or used to be windows, that people could look through as they were on the PeopleMover. And as you can very clearly see from this picture, those windows are going up. The PeopleMover track itself at this point was going up a hill. That doesn't happen at Walt Disney World. And that's one of the issues. Like this incline, it's not too bad. People can evacuate, people can get off of it pretty comfortably at an angle like this. But at the angles you would find near the Moonliner over by Pizza Planet or over by Autopia, it makes things a bit more complicated. That, along with the fact that the tracks are almost 30 years old and haven't been used in decades. Looking at the track in Tomorrowland proper, the main Tomorrowland area, they don't seem to be falling apart, broken, or crumbling like is so often said. They seem to be in okay shape, although I am not an engineer. The portion of the track that runs near Autopia and the monorail and the railroad, though, that is a bit of a different story because that's out of the way. I can't really get up close to those tracks and look through the trees at what they look like up close, although here's a top view and you can see that, well, it really does seem to be a bit more beaten and battered than the other parts of the track. It doesn't look great compared to, let's say, the main Tomorrowland Avenue, because that's front and center, that's show. This is something you see as you get on the monorail. Although remember, that's not me saying that this is okay. Of course, everything should be clean and tidy. That's what Walt would have wanted. Okay, so the track is whack. We've established that. It's cracked up, it goes up and down, side to side, probably upside down at some point. I don't know, I've never been on it, but there's an incline. I'm pretty sure I've seen the videos of it. We all know that the track is busted, and that's one of the reasons why Disney doesn't want to bring it back. Maybe. I mentioned about how the part around the Autopia and the railroad and the monorail, that part is old and crumbling and gross, but the part near the front avenue of Tomorrowland is in better shape. And the rumor states, actually, that the part around the Autopia is the part that's meant to be demolished. The PeopleMover track is going to be shortened, according to this rumor, mainly just to cover the main portion of Tomorrowland, the Avenue, Star Tours, Buzz, and Space Mountain. Maybe going back through like the Starcade, the extended queue, and maybe Red Rockets. Pizza Planet. It's Pizza Planet now. Get a grip. So it's interesting to me that Disney is keeping the tracks in the main Tomorrowland area nice and clean. Meanwhile, over by the Autopia, they're just letting them sort of rot away. It's very interesting, and it sort of goes hand in hand with this rumor. Another one of the oftly cited reasons why they can't bring back the PeopleMover is its integration into Tomorrowland itself. It's part of the bones of Tomorrowland, and taking out the PeopleMover would mean taking out a lot of the land around it. Or would it? The original PeopleMover track went through 5 different buildings. It went through Star Tours, the Starcade, now known as the Extended Queue, Space Mountain, the Carousel of Progress Theater, now Star Wars Launch Bay, and Circle Vision 360, now known as Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters. All of these buildings are pretty fine in how they incorporate the PeopleMover. It goes behind R2-D2 and C-3PO in the Star Tours queue, as we mentioned earlier, up through the Extended Space Mountain queue, through the outskirts of Space Mountain, and then back down around the backside of what? No, the Innoventions building. I don't care if it's Star Wars Launch Bay. I don't care if it once housed the Carousel of Progress. It will and forever always be, to me, Innoventions. The true Innoventions. The one at Epcot, that's a cheap copy, even though it was first. All of these buildings are fine for the PeopleMover. Star Tours, Buzz Lightyear, Space Mountain, all of these have little to no impact on the PeopleMover track. Even if Buzz Lightyear would take a little finagling to get right, it still would work. The old area that you used to see going through on the PeopleMover was the seating area, which is roughly where the loading area is now, but they could make it work. The one building that's giving us all a pain in the butt, including Disney, by the way, especially Disney, is the old Innoventions building. That thing is just sitting there collecting dust, and nobody knows what they're going to do with it. I don't even think Disney knows what they want to do with it, honestly. It was Star Wars for a while there, and then, Galaxy's Edge happened, so you don't really need that anymore. You can just kind of go to Galaxy's Edge for all of your Star Wars needs. Or heck, even Star Trader at the end of Star Tours. You don't really need 2 different dedicated Star Wars themed gift shops in Tomorrowland. They could, like I said, maybe not should, bring back Carousel of Progress. They'd have to gut the entire building again because they've already gutted it to make it a shopping center / character meet and greet, back from when it was an actual theater where America Sings and Carousel were. And I think that's the problem. The PeopleMover doesn't live without that building because it's part of it. I've said before that you can't really tear down the PeopleMover tracks without tearing down a lot of Tomorrowland around it. And the Launch Bay is the first and foremost prime example of this. The problem is less with Disney wanting to tear down the PeopleMover tracks and more with them wanting to tear up or remove or tear down completely the Innoventions building. Here's my running theory after watching a bunch of videos on this rumor and bringing back the PeopleMover, the potential of it at least. I think there are people, very powerful people, higher ups even at Imagineering, who want to bring the PeopleMover back. The problem isn't the track, the problem isn't budget, the problem is what's around the PeopleMover, what they want to do with the rest of Tomorrowland. They don't know. Originally, originally the plan was to reinvigorate, re-theme it after the movie Tomorrowland, but that obviously didn't come to pass because the movie was a box office failure. And I think with the recent release of Lightyear, Disney maybe wanted to retheme Tomorrowland around that sort of general vibe, and that fell through because the movie underperformed. At least I hope it did. Please don't change Space Mountain. The Tomorrowland revamp has been on Disney's mind for quite some time. In the Imagineering story, you could see Joe Rohde, before he left Imagineering, working on models of Tomorrowland. I don't know what he was doing, moving buildings around, but he was doing something. That's something right there. I think this is one of those times where Disney wants to get it right. They got it right with New Fantasyland over at the Magic Kingdom. They got it sort of right with Galaxy's Edge and Avengers Campus. They need to nail New Tomorrowland. And by that, I mean they need to stick the landing, which means figuring out what to do with the Innovations building! And what does Joe Rohde do? He picks up Launch Base / Innovations / Carousel Theater and removes it. He rips it up. He rips it out. Maybe, my friends, some of the wires got crossed. Maybe somewhere along the line, something was misconstrued. They are shortening the People Mover track. They're shortening it for sure. It's not going to be as long as it used to be, but not because they're ripping up the part near the Autopia, the monorail, the submarines. That's all going to stay in. Maybe it's because Joe Rohde ripping out the Innovations building means they're also going to be shortening the track that runs through it. Think about it. That way you get the shorter People Mover from the rumor, but it also coincides with what we saw in the Imagineering story and what Disney wants to do with the larger view of Tomorrowland. Free up space. Do something else in that area. I mean, it's possible. What would you put there instead, though? Maybe Tron? Maybe a smaller version of Tron? I've always said it might be possible. Maybe, if that's not the case, you could do a restaurant like the End of Line Club. Something like that to help bring Tron into Disneyland. I love Tron. Which leads me into my next qualm. I know Disney loves their IPs, Bob Iger and Bob Chapek specifically. They don't really do non-IP associated attractions. The last one they did, I think, was like Soarin', or unless you count Runaway Railway, which kind of? They would have to tie the People Mover in with an intellectual property. What better IP than Tron? It was already themed to Tron before it went away. Once more, in case the message wasn't received, I love Tron! Give me more Tron. I need it. I want to live in the grid. So what's my point in making this video? What's the point of all of this? Talking about what could happen, talking about where it could go, what could be replaced, what buildings might end up coming down and what might stay. I don't know. I think the point is that I wanted to do a D23 attractions park announcements prediction video, and 99% of that video would have been about the People Mover if I didn't give it its own sort of corner there. This is the corner, this video. So do I think the People Mover is going to happen? I am going to go out there, I'm going to go out on a ledge. I usually like sort of go in the middle a little bit, like it might not, maybe. I think the People Mover announcement is going to happen. I think they are going to announce the brand new People Mover at D23. At least I think it's likely. If it doesn't happen, then all of this buildup, all of this people up on the People Mover station, all of this talk about it, where was the buzz? What was it all for? Just a rumor, I guess. It's always a rumor, but part of me believes with Joe Rohde messing with Tomorrowland like that, and people up on the People Mover tracks and this talk about it, I think there might be a chance, especially if Disney wants to go for a new Tomorrowland. There is one other option, of course, though. One that I don't see a lot of people mentioning, that Disney has already sort of confirmed themselves. They've already talked about this and sort of went out and gave us notice that this is going to happen. They announced at the D23 Expo there's going to be a booth for the parks. It's going to be called the Wonderful World of Imagination? Wonderful World of something. And it's going to feature previews into future experiences coming to the Disney parks, including Marvel, Star Wars, and new Frozen experiences. Now let's talk about New Fantasyland 2.0 for Disneyland. I know we might not want that, but it might be what's happening. I've made maybe one or two videos in the past talking about how Fantasyland is changing. They are going through and updating all of the old dark rides and even some of the not dark rides like Dumbo to be more modern, to have more special effects, to be more up to date. And honestly, I think it's been a success. I really like the updated version of all of the dark rides. You have the updated Snow White's Enchanted Wish from Scary Adventures, the updated Alice in Wonderland, the updated Peter Pan, and of course the updated Dumbo. You could also throw in the Matterhorn, but there are 3 attractions that haven't gotten an update yet, or 4 if you count the carousel. Those are Mr. Toad, Pinocchio, and Casey Jr. Why are the Imagineers going through and updating all of Fantasyland? Well, before it was a mystery, But once I saw that at the Wonderful World of Dreams Pavilion at D23, quote, fans will discover behind-the-scenes glimpses of Tiana's Bayou Adventure, the transformation of Epcot, new Frozen-themed experiences, Disney Cruise Line live entertainment, and more. Now, if you notice, they really front-loaded the theme parks into the first half of that sentence. Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Disneyland and Walt Disney World, the transformation of Epcot, obviously at Walt Disney World, new Frozen-themed experiences. Where? We don't know, but not on the Disney Cruise Line because that's listed next. What I'm thinking, folks, we're going to be getting a Frozen Land, mini or regular sized. It's coming to California. How does this tie back to the People Mover? Scott Trowbridge wasn't tweeting about a new People Mover route running through that area of Fantasyland by the motorboat cruise dock that he was filming by. No, he was teasing a Frozen-themed expansion coming to that area. Maybe we're not shortening the People Mover track. Maybe we are shortening the Autopia track. Maybe Frozen is going to be an expansion to Fantasyland out past the Matterhorn. Think about it. It would fit in well. The snowy mountaintops, Elsa's Ice Palace. I mean, it kind of makes sense. And Disney confirmed we're getting Frozen-themed experiences. Maybe the People Mover rumor is fake, but we will be getting Arendelle in its place. Now, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Honestly, I don't know. Here's where I'm going to sit on the fence again, because if they shorten Autopia and build out to make more land, is that possible? Disney friends, let me know down in the comments below. Is there room there? Can they do it? Probably not, but maybe. I don't really care whether or not we get a Frozen Land. I think Disneyland is fine without it, but if they want it, sure. But if it comes at the expense of new Tomorrowland or a new People Mover, then I will be pretty upset. Or on the flip side to that, you could have it be sort of a concession to fans, like, yes, we will give you a shortened version of the People Mover, like the rumor stated, but it's shortened because they're also shortening the Autopia and building Frozen. That way, you know, we get Frozen, we get a new, I don't know, Frozen Ever After clone, and the People Mover back. That's the best possible outcome. And I say that as a big Autopia fan. I love that ride. So my prediction on the People Mover coming back? Very likely. My prediction on the People Mover coming back shortened because it has to make room for a Frozen-themed land? Likely. Like right down the middle. I don't know, I just think it's interesting that Disney starts renovating all of these Fantasyland attractions, and then they announce new Frozen-themed experiences coming to the Wonderful World of Dreams Pavilion at D23, grouped in with all the other big stuff coming to the parks. I think Frozen is very much on their radar, and I'm calling it right now. We are going to get a Frozen Land or Mini Land announcement at D23. Whether or not that's going to go hand in hand with the People Mover, I don't know. Hope so. So you can sort of consider this like a part 1 or a part 2, I guess, because I've already made a People Mover video on my pre-D23 thoughts, and then get ready for D23 itself, because that's going to be 3 days of full coverage by yours truly if I can figure out how to get into the panels. I've heard you have to line up. Where do I get a lightning lane? I don't know, I just think it would be silly for Disney to focus on fixing or updating Fantasyland when it's fine. It's doing perfectly fine, it's very popular, and while Tomorrowland is popular, it is in desperate need of some sort of TLC. Like my friend Dave over at Fresh Baked Disney said, he said that Tomorrowland is so nearly close to perfect.
Tomorrowland is so close to perfect, you guys. It's so close. Sometimes when I stop and think about it, because that's like, gosh, guys, we gotta fix Tomorrowland. Just pause for a second and think how close to perfection Tomorrowland is. It's so close!
And you know what? I agree. I think it is so close. I was blurry. If you have yourself the monorail, the railroad, the submarines, and the People Mover all moving throughout Tomorrowland, that would be the best version of Tomorrowland. Buzz can stay. Launch Bay can stay for all I care. I'm not really a Star Wars person. Galaxy's Edge is doing fine on its own, but if you want to keep the Launch Bay, keep the Launch Bay. Space Mountain. I mean, come on. Star Tours. I hate Star Tours. Star Tours can stay. Tomorrowland is often cited as being the worst land at Disneyland, and I don't think it's bad, okay? It just needs a couple extra pushes. Even a brand new, complete overhaul of Tomorrowland, while welcome, isn't necessarily required, I don't think. Obviously, that's what I would like, and that's the ideal situation. Please redo Tomorrowland. But if they just brought back the People Mover, Tomorrowland is already almost like perfect. But until September 11th and the park panel rolls around, we can only sit here, wait with belated breath, and pray to the Disney gods that a very special announcement will be made at the parks panel at D23. And when or if, or even if it's not announced, I will be there to talk about what is announced. And do you know what I'll be wearing to that parks panel? That's right, today's sponsor, Park Candy. Everyone, if you're looking for the wonderful Journey into Imagination shirt that I was wearing in today's video, or any of these other wonderful tees slash bags slash pins, head over to parkcandy.com and use offer code OFFHAND at checkout to get 10% off your purchase. If you're feeling like you want to get in a bit of a spooky mood a little early this year, they have these scary button-ups like the Sleepy Hollow one I'm wearing here, or a voodoo-themed one, or maybe even Haunted Mansion if it strikes your fancy. But if you're not a button-up fan, I get it. You know, not everyone can handle it. That's okay. They have tons of other stuff you have to see for yourself over at parkcandy.com. Remember, that's offer code OFFHAND at checkout to get 10% off, and a very big thank you to Park Candy for sponsoring this video. So there it is, everybody. Part 1-ish of maybe like 5 or 6 of my D23 series. I'm gonna make a video before D23 talking about my predictions. I've been sort of hyping that one up. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I've already let a few of them slip in this video and the last PeopleMover video, but I mean, there's more stuff I think they're going to announce. And then I'm going to cover all 3 days of D23 and then make a post D23 thoughts video. So that's like what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-ish, 8. Screw it, we're just gonna do a 10-part mini-series. Let's do it. Let's just put it on Disney Plus, put Offhand Disney's D23 extravaganza on there, stream it for everyone to see, and I think we'll be square, Disney. Also, we'll be square if you reopen the PeopleMover. Just reopen the PeopleMover. Apparently you can do it, it's just that darn building's in the way. Or rebuild it, I don't, just bring it back. I'll see you all at D23. Hello everyone and welcome to the end card for this very fun video, very explainative, very extraordinary video on the PeopleMover. Explanative's not a word, but I could make it one. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me talk about the PeopleMover as much as I enjoy talking about the PeopleMover. I have hope, okay? I have a certain amount of hope that this is gonna be the year where it's announced. Not opened, but announced at least. I am totally prepared for that hope to be dashed, though. I would understand completely. Like I said, stay tuned for my future D23 videos. If you enjoyed this one, though, please hit the like button and the subscribe button if you're new around here, and if you want notifications right when a video goes live, that bell icon actually really helps me out. So go ahead and hit the bell icon. I'll wait. No, seriously, go hit it. Like, I'm waiting. Like, okay, good. Thank you. Another big thank you to all of my supporters over at patreon.com. They help keep this channel going. They help me get out to Orlando or Anaheim to do and film all of these new and fun things for you all. So head over there. Even just $1 a month gets you access to most of the perks. They got early access, say, to this video. They got to watch it before the general public, should I say, got to. And lastly, be sure to follow me on all of my social medias, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I am Offhand Disney on all of those places, especially TikTok. Be sure to follow me over there because you get video content that you do not get on this channel, not even through YouTube Shorts. So go check that out. And that is where I'm going to wrap up today's video. Everyone, thank you all so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Goodbye.